Inspired by Donald Trump. In 2016, I was hiking the Pacific Crest Trail. I started on July 15th, and by November I was somewhere near here and close to being finished. I found myself at the side of the road in the shade of a small bush waiting for my hiking partner to catch up, and I got my phone out and looked at Facebook. The world was waking up to the news that Donald Trump was the President of the United States of America. I was scrolling through the endless Trump comments, and there was a little beacon of light from Explorers Connect. Teammate wanted for Indian Ocean row, and my first thought was, ooh, I could do that. I know why it appealed to me. In attempting to get out of my comfort zone, I had found my comfort zone. After nearly 5,000 miles of hiking, I had found my happy place. It wasn't challenging anymore. Rowing an ocean sounded scary and exciting. And then the doubts kicked in and I started making a list of reasons why I couldn't do it. I have never rowed anywhere. The ocean is kind of scary. I get seasick. And I think it's a crew of all men. Now, I'm not here to discuss politics, and for the purposes of this talk, whether you support Mr. Trump or not doesn't matter. But you can't deny that this man did not get to where he is by having any self-doubt. He saw an opportunity, he didn't care whether he was qualified for it or not, and he went for it. So I thought, if he can do that, then I can do anything. So I clicked on the link, and that was the start of my journey into ocean rowing. It was a long and bumpy 3-year journey, which would take far more than 10 minutes to talk about. But on January the 5th this year, we were in Lanzarote at the start, ready to cross the Atlantic Ocean. The plan was to cross from Lanzarote to Antigua in an estimated time of around 40 to 45 days. After rowing 1,000 miles, we had to contend with a broken rudder and a rather dramatic nighttime recovery from a fishing boat, which towed us for 40 hours to Cape Verde. With the damage to our boat, one crew member quitting, and time against us, we thought after just 2 weeks our ocean rowing journey could be over already. But after 5 days in Cape Verde, fixing up the rudder and making some changes and repairs, we set off once again, arriving in Antigua 39 days later. And we managed to get an accidental world record for being the first trio to row the Atlantic on the southern trade winds. So that was the briefest possible outline of our journey. You know why I did it, and you know roughly how we did it. Now I'm going to share 10 of my most memorable moments. Being sick is awful. Being sick at sea is worse. So we're just coming up to almost 24 hours. Been sick, I think at least 10 times, could be more. And each 10 sicks has been like 5 heaves. So my stomach is really quite sore and a bit crampy. Really not having a very good time right now. So we've been going for about 48 hours now, and I've been sick so many times, basically just feel like I want to die. Not only is it physically draining, it is mentally challenging too. You're weak and you would do anything to just be motionless for 10 minutes. Your taste buds change, so you don't want to eat anything. Once I had stopped being sick, we talked about food all the time. Good food is essential for emotional well-being, and I basically survived for 39 days, eating a packet of instant noodles and a couple of chocolate bars each day. I would think about food constantly. My favourite podcast was one about people designing their own menu, and I would spend my downtime in the cabin looking at pictures of meals I have eaten in the past and imagining I could taste them. I was torturing myself. Another form of torture was the smell of the cabin. There were 3 of us living in a space smaller than a prison cell designed for one person. If they had tested our mattresses at the end of the row, I have no doubt they would have found sweat, blood, vomit, urine, scabs, dead skin, pus, hair, food, salt, drool, and copious amounts of pseudocreme. We have to wee several times a day, and it's not always convenient to go to the back of the boat and sit on the bucket. For me, it's easy for the guys. The guys just get this little bottle and they stick their little todgers in it, and then they just, you know, have a little pee and get rid of it out of the side. But when the weather's bad and I'm in full wet weather gear. It's almost impossible to go to the toilet outside. So we developed a system where we have this little blue bucket here which doubles as the rubbish bin, and remove the rubbish, remove the pee bottle, put the bucket in the footwell. I used to close the door, but now it's nice to just have a little chat with whoever's rowing there. And then I've got another person here normally, so we just squat down on the bucket. I have my pants on right now, and have a little wee while having a little chat over here.
We normally score on clarity, smell and consistency.
They don't normally score very high, do they?
No.
No.
Well, the odour one, yeah, very high normally.
And then have a little chat with this one as well.
It's amazing how people's standards just fall away.
Then when you're done, pull your pants up, get rid of the bucket, chuck it over the side, bish bash bosh. Traditional time has no meaning on the ocean. You have light hours where you row and eat, and you have dark hours where you row and sleep. We didn't need to know the time, only that 2 hours had passed. With nothing around you as far as the eye can see, you often feel like you aren't moving anywhere at all, and it's only because the sun continues to rise and set that you are aware of the passage of time. Time had no meaning, and yet time was so important. Rowing for 12 hours a day means you are in pain all of the time. There is nothing soft on an ocean rowing boat, nowhere to sit that's comfortable. Sitting in general is difficult when you have a load of spots on your bum, mainly caused by everything being covered in a crusty layer of salt. You are wet 99% of the time, mostly from the ocean. And if you're not wet from the ocean, you are wet from being a sweaty mess. Another thing that made me uncomfortable were the flying fish. If you had asked me what I was scared of before the row, I may have said the deep water or maybe sharks. I wouldn't have said flying fish, but it turns out I have an irrational, uncontrollable fear of them. Save it, save it, save it. Oh.
Look, how pretty are they?
Pretty fish, man. Quick,
Bye.
give it light.
Whoa.
Give it light! Get it! Bye, little fish. Other than the hundreds of flying fish, we saw a few whales, jellyfish and swordfish, and dorado and turtles, and we had birds visit us every single day. But by far the most incredible thing we saw were the pods of dolphins which surrounded the boat and jumped playfully in and out of the waves. No matter how sick or tired you felt, you could still find the childlike joy every single time at seeing the dolphins. Despite all of those creatures lurking in the big blue, there was a time I jumped into water 5,000 metres deep. Scott's just doing a shark check for me.
Okay. Checking that there aren't any.
I don't know. Are there no sharks?
No.
Ooh, come back, boat! All is forgiven. There is very little chance of me getting back on here.
It looks like we've got some excess weight to be dragging back. Right. There's not a lot to grab hold of without. Right.
No, don't touch me. I'm stuck.
Okay, give me that.
Wait,
That's it.
that's it. Wait. What a day! What a day to be alive! What a day to be ocean rowing, or on an ocean rowing boat, ocean drifting. This talk has been all about me, but I absolutely couldn't have done it without Scott and Billy. We laughed, I cried, we had so many fun times amongst all the discomfort. It was like having two older brothers who would tease me relentlessly, but when it came to the crunch, they would protect me at all costs. They looked after me when I was sick, picked me up when I was down, and I was so grateful to share this crazy adventure with them. After all that, there is nothing quite like seeing land for the first time in 39 days. I've been in the cabin for a while, and then I look out the door and... oh my god! There's land! Beautiful, beautiful land! Scott bringing it home.
Congratulations, lovely Antigua.
didn't realise it is quite shallow here, and our rudder's stuck, so we're walking it in. Antigua baby! Antigua baby! The years of hard work and the discomfort and the filth and the exhaustion and the sickness and the obstacles all fade away, and you are left with the incredible achievement of having crossed an ocean in a tiny little rowing boat. Yay!